That is an awful face.
We're not here. We're not actually here. We're here, but we're not actually here. We already went through this whole spiel once today, which is why Mark's energy is just doo-doo burgers right now. Let me tell you guys a short, sad story, and then we'll get into it. We're pre-recording this episode. It is currently Wednesday. On Friday, we will be on our vacation. So though you're watching this live, it is from the past. However, Etsy's Investors Report came out today, Wednesday, the 30th, and we thought, what a fantastic topic for the Friday Bean. Originally, Handmade Alpha Academy students wanted us to do trends in stores. We really wanted to do that because, pre-recording allows us the opportunity to go out with a camera and do things.
Yep.
We ran out of time. But the Investors Report coming out, it was just the timing aligned perfectly. We thought, okay, this is great. This is content that we'll want to cover.
Right. Easy.
We sat down this morning. We watched the Investors Report with our coffee. We took all these notes. Some of the stuff in it seemed oddly familiar, but,
They always kind of do because they talk about the same crap every time, right? It's just the little details that we try to pull out for you so you don't got to watch the whole thing.
And we sat down to record, and we did all this.
Yeah, recorded about the first 5 minutes of it, did our intro spiel and all that fun stuff, and then got into the report, and it looked wildly different from the one that we had just watched. And we're like, that's weird. Kept going, and I'm like, yeah, these slides don't at all match what I have written down for this here.
We watched the wrong Investors Report.
Yeah, we watched Q3 2024. Somehow didn't notice. I mean, it had to have been on screen or spoken out loud somewhere, but we're just oblivious, I guess. So here we are, just rewatching the second Investors Report for a day, and there's not enough coffee in the world to watch 3 hours of Etsy conferences. Yeah.
But it is now 7 p.m., so we're going to kind of blast through this and give
It's an easy one this time around anyway.
That's true. That's true. It was interesting, though, watching the one that we thought was the current one and getting all excited because we thought that their Etsy was doing more with the Etsy Insider program. And in reality, what
it was just the initial notes.
Right. And seeing because this time around they talked about the Insider program and they were almost kind of deflated about how it didn't do all that great. And it's funny watching the first release of it, how excited they were and all the possibilities.
It wasn't that it didn't do great, but we'll get into it later on.
Yeah.
It did fine.
So to save you guys from having to suffer through what we just suffered through, we're going to cover the Investors Report for you.
You're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. We will cover what's most important. There were some tidbits in here that I think are notable that sellers need to know. Keeping in mind that the Investors Reports are specifically for people who are investing their money into Etsy stocks.
Mm-hmm. Shareholders.
Right, shareholders. They're not really meant for us, the sellers. However, I think that there's important information for sellers sprinkled in here that Etsy otherwise doesn't really surface, and you've got to sign up to watch these.
And you can tell if you go into it and go into the investors part of it, it's not like, oh, are you hoping that this initiative is going to do well? It's, oh, you have this new initiative. Who's paying for that? Mm-hmm. Are you paying for that, or who's paying? Is that an ad, or who's paying for that?
Dehumanizes.
Yeah.
So I think we can just go ahead and jump right in. I did want to go back one more time. I wanted to note, since someone in the chat right now has mentioned it, I am not wearing makeup today because it is 7 p.m. It is 7 p.m.
Also, we had running to do because we're leaving for vacation tomorrow, and it was like 92 degrees outside. Nobody wants to be outside melting in makeup when it's that hot. So.
No. So you get organic Starla. Hashtag organic Starla. Turn it into a trend.
Hashtag raw Starla.
Ew, don't say that. That sounds... I don't know what.
In the basement.
It doesn't... None of that sounds good. It all sounds bad. Everything
sounds terrible.
It sounds... Well, I mean, it doesn't sound bad. It's just not in this context. Not under these circumstances.
Right. Anyway, let's move on to the Etsy seller report. This is called a title screen. All right, moving on. So, and a big thing, especially when it comes to the finances, they made the points of this, also making sure to understand that this includes like Depop. This isn't just Etsy. And it also includes a small bit of time from before the reverb sale. So these numbers are a little wonky, and they talked about that.
In case they're joining us for the first time, let's break this down just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
GMS, this is money that Etsy sellers have made. Consolidated revenue, think of that as money that Etsy is making. GMS, I think, is what we as the sellers mostly keep our eyes on, because when you see that it's down year over year, we tend to panic, and it's been down year over year.
Well, keep in mind again that this is not just Etsy. This is them as Etsy, as a business as a whole, which includes 3 whole businesses. So this is not indicative of anything. However, I believe they said like $2.7 billion of this was Etsy. So
yeah,
a tenth of $1 billion was from Depop.
And Reverb was the music gear company that Etsy purchased.
They sold it. It's a very low profit margin business. They're a reseller.
Right.
They are like the company that they don't contract, but it's like Etsy but for music instruments. Big companies sell on there, individuals sell on there. It's eBay specifically for music instruments and music accessories. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They don't own it anymore. They sold it. I believe it was to the dude that one of the Fender CEOs.
I heard that, but I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't really care. You don't need to worry about this. This doesn't speak to, neither of these numbers will speak to you unless you're an investor. So it doesn't really matter. And you covered this information a little bit more in detail.
Yeah. In our last investor report, this is just a recycled slide that they reused, but I still think that it's important because the main core
it's their whole business model.
Right. The main core here is that Etsy is obviously using LLMs, which we'll just say AI from this point forward. They're using AI to learn more about the sellers. You guys know that AI is used to kind of classify our listings, but what's more important here is that they're utilizing AI to basically profile out the buyers based on things that they're searching for when they're coming to, Etsy or primarily the app, the things that they're clicking on, the things that they're buying, and utilizing the data. Right now they're collecting more data than ever on these shoppers than ever before.
Like I said, it's their primary business model at this point is to be leveraging AI. I'm not going to say primary, but
that's what Josh has made it very clear that his objective is.
Yes, they're very clear. Well, not only are they very clear, they're working hand in hand with agentic AI shopping platforms. So like shopping through, if you ask for a product through ChatGPT, it is very likely to recommend you something on Etsy over a lot of other platforms. And I believe they said at the end of it that they are the most used agentic shopping website. So if you have a higher rate of getting Etsy than any other website, depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for like car tires, you're not going to get Etsy. But if it's something that's sold on Etsy, you're most likely to be shown something on Etsy based on that. And their efforts in AI are helping with that, which is really, really good for most people other than probably like people that do hardcore I don't do anything POD. If you're a general seller who just buys designs and slaps them on a t-shirt, this should scare you because this is your worst enemy.
Yeah, because what you're creating isn't unique. That's what Etsy's all about. And it's not, I hate to be the big meanie, but if you're not putting any work at all into what you're selling, if you're just buying a design and sticking it on a t-shirt, you're taking opportunities away from people who, and I'm not talking about Canva, because at least with Canva,
you're personalizing. The designs are different, and AI can see that.
Right. There is a sense of, what like curation of
it's creativity. There's still a sense of creativity that goes into it.
Collaging things together, which is, that's what I do. But if you're just either stealing an image, which, we see that a lot as well, stealing an image from someone else, or just taking a design that's done, that's not allowed on Etsy anyway, but obviously Etsy can't catch everyone. They're getting closer to being able to catch more and more.
Yes.
What Etsy's basically saying is that for one, they want to personalize this experience more so that, marketing efforts, for example, which we'll talk more on in a minute, but they're putting more money into making sure that their marketing through email and social media is catered through some of the things that they've learned about you. If you're shopping for nursery decor, then Etsy might figure out, hey, this person is pregnant. That's a lot different than a baby shower gift. And Etsy might be able to see, the difference between shopping for a one-time baby shower gift versus shopping patterns of someone who is currently pregnant, and be able to personalize their experience a little bit better. And that's good. Those are good things because, if a shopper knows that they need a crib or something, they know they need a crib and they know they need some wall art, but they might not know that they need curtains for the baby's room, or it just might not occur to them that curtains are something that they can buy on Etsy. Etsy can personalize their marketing to ensure that they're hitting all of these areas of possibility where a shopper might be willing to buy, but would otherwise be just like, oh, I'll just get those on Amazon. Etsy could say, hey, think of us first. Check out these curtains. So like I said, we discussed that one a little bit previously.
Going into their GMS and their app. So this was a big one. They're still heavy focusing on the app. About 45% of their sales took place through the app.
That's great.
Listening to their conversation, it's very obvious that they're going to be continuing to push that. Of course, with their AI development, pushing into the app, they want users to use the app. That's really what they want. They want the app to be a source. They said it again in this one, and they've said it for the last couple. They want the app to be something that you can open up when you're waiting for the bus or waiting to get on the train or waiting for a meeting to start instead of getting on a stupid game or getting on TikTok. They want their platform to be something you can get on and scroll, and it's getting better at that. I personally don't think that that's an area that they should really, I don't think that's an entertainment platform.
I do it a lot though. And
you do, but you're an Etsy coach. You are a 1% of 1% use case user. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea that they're optimizing the app to make it a more personal experience. I actually think that's the most intelligent thing that they can be doing. I just don't think that and again, it's probably just, speak for the investors. I don't really think making it an entertainment platform is a good focus. I don't have a recommendation where else to put it. And if they've got the effort to put it into this, good on them. And I really hope that it works out for them because obviously they need some wins. I just don't see people switching from TikTok and Instagram over to something like I really don't.
Here's the thing. I think that they've got a really unique position
They
here
do.
where I don't. Okay, I know that I am a rare user, but I mean, we're not going to be here to even see the chat to know, but talk amongst yourselves here.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know.
Let me finish. I might be a unique user here, but I am one of the few who I do not scroll through short form video content. It is not for me. It is not the type of content that I like to digest, and I don't find it fulfilling. And I know that I am not alone. Sure. And you are someone who does like to digest short form content.
Yes.
So I think we're good on speaking on opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yes, absolutely.
As someone who does not like to digest short form content, and I am trying to avoid, social media, which I know a lot of people are.
Yes.
I spend a lot more time on apps like Pinterest, where what I'm able to do is scroll and be inspired, which, Etsy right now, that's their big word, is inspire. On Pinterest, I'm able to scroll and see just things that give me my dopamine fixes the way that someone might feel with short form content. And the difference for me is that I think that I have a bit of a collector's brain. I was the Ty Beanie Baby collector as a kid. And as a collector's, having a collector's brain, a treasure seeking brain, on Pinterest, I get excited to take that piece of media or idea or whatever it is and store it into a board, into a folder. I get to keep it and curate it. On Etsy, I feel very much the same way, where I might not be ready to buy that thing, but I'm very interested in what it is and the seller who sells it, and maybe I want to see more from that seller or more items like it. So I go through and I scroll through that infinite feed of content to favorite items. And I'm not doing that as a coach. I'm doing it as someone who is genuinely trying to find a place to spend my time that's more meaningful to me. And I can't be alone. And I think that that's who they're trying to target.
That is who they are trying to target. However, I still disagree on the basis that they also stated that the overwhelming majority of people that are using the app are their younger demographic. And the younger demographic are people with, let's face it, severe dopamine addiction. And then that's an ever prevalent thing. And I think what you're speaking to is 100% true. That's the people that they want. They want the the stay-at-home mom who doesn't want to be social media addicted. She wants to scroll through and find things to make her perfect home, or the couple that's going for their perfect wedding, and they've got the couple who sits on the app and does that. I agree with you 100% that that's who they're targeting, but that's why I think it's a little bit misguided, because they, through their own demographics, know who is shopping on the app, and I don't think that's what the kids are into. I could be wrong. I don't have the data in front of me. You could be 100% correct, but we'll have to wait and see how it actually turns out, because either one of us, and it could be something in between. I just hope that they're able to take their promises and bring them to fruition. That's all I care about, is that they're engaging and they're actively attempting. And if this doesn't work out in their favor, then they know they need to stop wasting their efforts here and move on. Because even in the one that we watched before, they were showing that a large portion of the app users, that's where they get their largest portion of new buyers. But the majority of people, not majority, a large portion of people who download the app are first-time Etsy users.
Yes.
They're people who have never been on Etsy before, so their first experience with Etsy is in the app. So either way, they need to be putting more effort into the app. And we'll get into more information on like what specifically they're doing. We've got a lot of notes here from this. But the app is a huge focus, and AI is playing a huge role into that. Anyway, moving on. I put in here, the app represents about 45%. They want it to be higher. They want it to be more than half. I could be wrong, but I believe they said they wanted it to be in the high 50s by the end of the year. I don't think it's gonna, because it was like 42% last quarter. So maybe, I don't think it's gonna be high 50s, but they might be able to get at least half of their traffic into the app.
Keep in mind how you browse an app. You click very fast. Yes. You're erratic with your, you click here, click back, click here, click back. And when you're on desktop, I think that you spend a little less time doing things like that. And I think that they're able to collect more data when you're utilizing the app, which is more valuable to them, because then they can start sending you things like Josh talked heavily about push notifications, which are, when you get a notification on your phone that says Etsy's found something just for you, or, just those stupid Etsy app or Etsy notifications you get, trying to get you to come to the site and buy something, or one of the items you favorited is on sale. What they want to do is make sure that in the future, every single one of those push notifications is tailored to you. Like, it's themed around something that you're already interested in. That way you're more likely to click it and hopefully go buy it. And the only way they're able to do that is to collect data on you. And the easiest way that they can collect data on you is to get you on that app. Yes. So even if you're not buying from the app right away, still getting you on the app is important to them.
Yes. And I did have a couple more notes on the app specifically. So they did show that they had a huge jump year over year, quarter and quarter, in the amount of buyers, showing that they enjoyed using the app.
Yeah.
And by buying high quality, more expensive products using the app. So they are seeing better conversion through the app. They also said that for the holiday shopping season, they're going to have better app navigation, better ways of conversation, better browsing, and better matching models. Which is one of the things where, like, if I search for this thing, if I'm very specific in what I'm searching for, or I'm looking for a specific material or whatever, using filters, they're going to be able to better provide a user experience to the customer in order to give them exactly what they want. Which, again, reiterating, optimizing your listings to be good on both mobile and on computer is really important. Good pictures are hugely important. That's all you see. That's all you freaking see are pictures now. If your pictures don't clearly show...
you can see that right here.
Yeah, if your pictures don't show what the product is and it's not obvious what the product is, you don't have to be a professional photographer to get good quality pictures. Shout out by Christina Nicole. Take her stuff. She's absolutely awesome. You need to make sure that this is good, but also with them leaning further into AI, you absolutely need to make sure that your descriptions are descriptive and that they are honest. The titles are honest, and what your product is clear and concise and readable by an AI platform. If it's readable by a human, it's readable by an AI platform. But so is keyword stuffing, and keyword stuffing is probably going to be what kills you with AI platforms. They're going to be looking for stuff like that. They're going to be looking for people that are putting less human experiences out and trying to push that down. They've iterated in the past that they're less about pushing down the bad listings and more about elevating the good listings. If you're not utilizing everything at your disposal, you have a bunch of bullcrap filler images that don't mean anything relative to your product, or you've recycled the primary picture 4 times at the last bit of the album just so you could have all 10 pictures. They're looking for stuff like that. They're not going to push you to the front of the line.
Exactly. So I think that as we move forward, especially like algorithmically with, we have Etsy's existing algorithm, but now, it's on steroids when we add in that AI aspect. Right. I think what we're going to start to see is a lot less effectiveness of our old strategies. Not that keyword stuffing has ever been the best idea, but there was a time when
search engines were basic.
Right. We were 100% appealing to a very basic computer, and now we're not. It's not like a box computer. Now we're appealing to what is essentially a human robot minded computer. So we've gone from this very basic computer where we can just throw a bunch of words at it and it'll figure it out. And now it's something that is mimicking human language. And if we're prioritizing that, that human language already, which we should be prioritizing human language because we're appealing to human shoppers. They're the ones who are reading the title to try to figure out what we're selling. It shouldn't be a huge challenge to just continue doing what we should have been doing from the get-go. We've been talking about this now for how many years? And now it's just more relevant than ever.
I think it's going to be one of those things where the listing quality score still matters.
Of course.
For consideration before the AI platform kicks in. Now, this is pure speculation. I don't know. The AI being more on the customer side and the listing quality score being more on the seller side.
And the historical...
we know that takes into consideration.
The historical benchmarks that you've reached as a seller, number of sales you've made.
Interaction with the platform makes a difference.
Right.
If your customers aren't interacting with your stuff, they're not liking, favoriting, sharing, buying, reviewing, then the platform is going to be less likely to prioritize you in things. And obviously, if it's a newer listing, it's going to get its little boost. We'll never know 100% down to a T what gets a listing in front of someone, but we have a pretty good idea how to optimize what gets you in front of a customer. So just quickly covering over their marketing channels, they're pushing a lot more into social channels. They're focusing a lot less. I forget what it was. They're pushing out of TV. They're not pushing out of, but they're lowering their budget for broadcasted television and moving more money into streaming platform advertisements.
Good.
And into social media advertisements. In particular, influencer marketing was up. I don't remember the exact number. I've got it at the bottom. But their actual marketing channels grew by about a third. You can see at the first line there, about a third year over year. So they have significantly more marketing channels than they had. And they're driving a significantly larger portion of the share overall.
I love this because they had there was last year, I feel like, was one flop after another, one expensive marketing flop.
My God. Utilizing language models is huge.
Starting with that god awful Super Bowl ad. If you haven't seen it, then go watch it. It
was so dumb.
And then they followed up with all these advertisements for gift mode that just didn't feature the sellers or the handmade or the heart at all. And $8 million for a Super Bowl ad.
Their advertising budget. How much did I put that number down here?
But that's for one ad. $8 million for one ad. That's
insane. Their overall advertisement budget was like $100-something million. Like it's a pretty absurdly large marketing platform. And I'm gonna be real, Etsy. 90% of your money should be going to influencers. I don't think it should be like 10% we started giving to TikTokers. It should be like most of your money.
And not like how you're like Drew Barrymore.
Oh my God, stop with the famous people.
Martha Stewart, like those are cool. That's cool that you're doing that. But if what you're trying to do is you've made it clear that you want to bring in younger buyers, you want to get them on the app. That's not when you need to start working with influencers that are
catering to those young people already.
Right. Like how many high school not high school, college kids do you see like watching Martha Stewart and, obsessing over Drew Barrymore.
Right. If you know that a huge portion of your audience on the app specifically are younger people clearly have an interest in your app. And I'm assuming a lot of those people are probably into like vintage stuff. I know vintage clothing and decorations and all that stuff. That's neither here nor there. But start focusing efforts, as if we're like speaking directly to Josh. Start focusing efforts more into those young people. Get the fashion influencers, get the shoe nerds, get the people that might not even necessarily be an Etsy person. Convince those people to get onto Etsy, and they'll convince their audience to move to Etsy.
Right,
that's what you need.
Because I feel like they would spend so much less money also, not putting all their money towards a celebrity, but putting a little less money towards somebody who actually has influence. I mean, that's what an influencer is. It's someone who is trying to influence you to behave or, exhibit a certain behavior or inspire them in some way. And, if we're talking about, we'll say Martha Stewart, while you might want to watch Martha Stewart to learn how to cook something, you're probably realistically understanding that your home's never going to look like Martha Stewart. But if you're looking at, some influencer who is we'll say a nice young early 20-something-year-old just like you're going to be way more inspired to listen to them because they have a lifestyle that is more attainable to you. And that's what an influencer is. It's someone who has
Go ahead.
It's someone who demonstrates a relatively attainable lifestyle.
Get with the mommy blogger who's about to have a baby. Give her $1,000 to dress up her baby's room. Right. Get with the streamer with a crappy little gamer desk. Give them a couple $1,000s to give them a custom background and cool desk accessories and like there are so many relatively cheap in comparison things that you can do to drive a younger audience to buy on Etsy. There are so many good handmade products on Etsy that relate to so many more people than what you're currently advertising to. And I think they're getting that hint. They're not pushing as much money into TV ads and things. And when it comes to stuff like that, they're not going to be giving money to like Drew Barrymore and Martha Stewart because that's not the people that like. It's cool that they have those advertisers, and it's great because I'm sure a majority of Etsy buyers are a mid to older age audience, but it's not always going to be that way. And the interests are going to shift towards what the younger generation likes, regardless of what the current age on Etsy is, as long as Etsy remains a platform.
I mean, do a little bit of both. Like, if you don't have to stop.
$100 million is so much money.
Exactly. Like, you could have specific campaigns for, the older demographics who know who Martha Stewart is, but the young kids, they don't know who Martha Stewart is. They know she hangs out with Snoop Dogg.
And a lot of these big influencers, their fees aren't $100,000. It's like $1,000 or $5,000 or on the higher end, 10 or 15 grand. But that's still not millions that you're going to be paying a celebrity or paying 20 for a commercial. Like there are so many better ways to. Anyway, we're just beating a dead horse at this point. But anyway, I think that ad optimization is big, and I'm glad that they're moving away from TV because that's not that's not where people are shopping.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of TV's fine, but don't put all of your marketing into streaming services. We don't even have cable. We do not have cable.
No, we have not had cable since 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
over 10 years. We have not had cable in over 10 years.
I can't remember.
You can get most of the streaming platforms ad-free for less than the cost of cable.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. Another big thing that they wanted to talk about was that 40% of the messages that go out in their ads are personalized to the user. And they said that they really want to try to get that to near total personalization. So every single, and this is again, utilizing AI in order to not only give you products that you want, that you've been looking for, but also things utilizing AI that you might be interested in, categories you've been interested in, and feeding you messages personalized to you to make you feel like the platform is yours. That's really cool. I've not seen anybody do this. And then, so again, we talked about this earlier. It's called agentic chatbot traffic. So shopping platforms. It's AI that are utilized in order to help people find things, buy things. You can do this with ChatGPT. There's a bunch of different very specific AI that are just for this, for shopping, and they were actually featured in by Apple for their developments along this, and it said that they are the most likely to be used by agentic AI shopping platforms. So over their competitors, they are the biggest, which is really cool.
Did you know a bunch of alphas said that when they have asked like for Etsy YouTubers, actually a lot of people who have never who are brand new to our channel,
Yes,
have said that they have, asked Chat GPT what YouTubers are trustworthy, what YouTubers should we watch, and our channel is the one. So we've got a ton of new subscribers who have come in because we are apparently being heavily recommended by AI, which is
well, then we'll
interesting.
keep pushing our efforts and try to move towards advertising to agentic AI and continue to grow our platform. Anyway,
I didn't even try. I'm not doing anything to try that, but
all right. So this is where their focus on GMS growth. They want to show up where shoppers are discovering on and off Etsy. So this is one of the things where they were talking. I'm just going to switch to main screens while we're talking. They were talking about Google optimization specifically, and how not on Etsy itself, though I could see it going, no, not going further because it would make it an unfair platform. But with Google advertisements being able to utilize their AI systems and all their other systems that they've had in place for a long time to determine what listings give the best return on investment when pushing to Google. So this is one of those things where, like, if you're a new seller on Etsy, optimizing for Google specifically,
yeah, probably not
it's not, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time unless you have a really unique selling point or a really unique product that people are suddenly searching for. But Etsy, it seems, unless I'm misunderstanding, attempting to prioritize listings that have a good ROI when pushing Google ads. So
that makes sense.
It does. Why would they push to external platforms if it's something that's not going to sell? So
right.
If you do want to appeal to Google, it looks like it's going to be even more important that the listing quality score is as maximized as it needs to be. Something that's, if you're pushing it for ads, needs to be something that's selling. It needs to be something that has a good description. It needs to have a very clear, concise, easy to read photo by an AI platform. It needs to have good reviews. There's a lot that needs to go into that. We won't continue to, because Google is not our thing, but the way it sounds is that they're prioritizing people that are going to make the seller and them more money than prioritizing just showing everybody to Google, which makes sense. It makes that, Google offboarded a ton of companies. A lot of the Chinese websites, they don't get Google ads anymore. So
this actually made me think of something, and it might be something I experiment a little bit more with. But so we've talked in the past about how Andrew Stanton, who no longer works for Etsy, by the way, he was their head of search. Yeah. He's not their head of search anymore. But Andrew Stanton in 2023 revealed that descriptions are not used for query matching, which is the keyword matching phase.
Yes.
Instead, they're used for context, for the algorithm, which I assume that now that we've got AI into play, AI is probably very much the same way. It's not
delineation.
Yeah, it's not looking to query match. It's not looking for you to have a bunch of those perfect keywords concise in your descriptions. It's looking for natural descriptions. Now, when we're talking about different shopping chat bots and things like that, or even Chat GPT, if you're looking for a very specific type of item, and we look at how people are starting to finally gain comfort in taking recommendations from AI, which, at first there was resistance, and we are starting to see it become more natural as people get used to it. I'm wondering if in our descriptions, thinking a little bit more expansively about use cases for products. So for example, if you're doing something like home decor, I wouldn't just target, for example, keywords like, home decor and new homeowners. I would also make sure that you're getting very specific in your descriptions primarily about things like, Airbnb decor, rental property decor, bed and breakfast decor. You could even have, if you're trying to appeal to very specific use cases, maybe even sit and think about queries that could lead someone to your type of product if they needed that curated list. I think that because right now we're in an information and product overload.
Yes.
I mean, it's always, if you need to buy something, it's like, do I want to go to Amazon? Do I want to go to Etsy? Do I want to run up to Walmart? Like, okay.
Which they talked about a lot.
Yeah. Do I want to buy it now? Am I willing to wait? How much am I willing to spend? Do I need it tomorrow? Do I need it right now? Am I okay to wait for it? Will I pay more for it? And that's kind of how you decide whether or not you're going to run up to Walmart and get it right now, or you're going to Amazon next day it, or you're going to just get it on Amazon because it's cheaper, or you're going to go to Etsy, which you'll likely have to wait longer and pay more. So somewhere in that process, I think that there is a room for a very specific type of customer who wants to cut down on a lot of the noise and decision making. And, I'm not saying that every customer is going to become comfortable with utilizing AI for shopping. I'm not. But I think that, just speaking scientifically and, predictive analysis here, I do think that there are going to be a lot of customers who decide for themselves that it is better to just tell ChatGPT what they want and where they should get it, and to look at all the reviews on their behalf and tell them what they should buy. Yep. As opposed to doing that research themselves.
They're actually showing a lot of research with older audiences, especially people who are less tech literate, utilizing these types of AI more because they don't necessarily understand how to compare things on the internet, like comparing something you buy on Amazon versus Walmart versus Etsy. They don't understand, that manufacturing is different, that the quality may be different. They don't know how to read the reviews. They don't want to have to sign up for 15 different accounts. They don't want to do that themselves. It cuts down a lot of that brain energy that they could just be utilizing doing literally anything else. I utilize it as someone who, I am the kind of person who I don't want to buy the lower quality product before I buy the higher quality product and test it out first. I want to just, I commit and I save to buying the best of the best first because I know that the quality is going to be there. And AI can help you with that because you can say, what are the problems with this? What are the problems with that? What are the growing pains with this? What are the growing pains with that? And you can just get one thing and eliminate a lot of the trial and error. And one of the thing Etsy or Josh specifically was talking about multiple times throughout the presentation was getting people to shop on Etsy first. They want to eliminate utilizing these AI, the monotony of going to Amazon and then going to Target and trying to figure out where can I get the best version of this product, or where can I get this thing that I'm just not finding anywhere else, this personalized thing. And they want people to start on Etsy.
They want them to think of Etsy.
Yes,
first.
They don't want them to end up on Etsy. That was a talking point. He's been talking about this a lot, but this particular presentation, he mentioned it several times, where they want people to start here and stay here, which is another part of the AI, the retooling, their ranking platform. This was a big one, I believe. It was in. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This was more on the advertising.
We didn't finish the other slide. Did you? Was there anything?
No, there was nothing. This is just more what they're trying to. It's the same crap they've been talking about for years. Ramping down spending on TV, accelerating social investment. Streaming is now the core of their brand media approach. So streaming platforms are the big thing, and improving app usability. And this one was where it gets a little complicated. Let me make sure that's So it just goes into Depop after that. So. Starting with the fourth quarter, they'll have shifted the majority of this to streaming platforms. We already talked about that, but they're retooling their ranking platform using this AI. So they have a big focus on, you have the listing over here, you have the customer over here, or however you want to look at it. Eventually, you want to get that customer to the listing that they want to sell it. The more you can shorten that journey, the more likely someone is to buy, or at the very least, the less stressed they are about being on your platform and the ability to refind or find a similar product to what they're shopping for. So retooling on focusing on understanding your listings so they know who to show it to. Understanding the users to know what to show them. And on their activity in between and what they do to get from here to here. So instead of them just kind of mindlessly wandering Etsy, when they open the platform, they just find what they're looking for. And they're utilizing AI to do that. And they said specifically that they're going to be, you can see it on the screen here, leveraging both explicit an implicit signal. So what I'm assuming they mean by this is explicit being you've clicked on this listing, and this listing. Implicit being you've clicked on this listing, and this listing. So you are likely to also click on this listing, and this listing. And over time, getting better at helping customers narrow down what they want without them actually, it's kind of creepy, but without them actually having to arrive to that conclusion themselves, which is where the AI comes into play, because they can over time build, okay, well, people in the Midwest in this income area of this nationality who like this thing, and this thing, often like this thing, and this thing. And the more that they gather that data and the more they leverage that data, the more right it's going to be. It's not always going to be 100%. There's no way to be 100%. You would have to track a specific person's everyday life to do something like that. But you can get like 90% of the way there. And when it's AI doing it, not people sitting and trying to do that, it gets very good, very fast. So it'll be easier for especially niche products to be able to be shown to the people that want to see them without them having to look for it, which again goes into that mobile feed. That's why they want to get more people to mobile, because they can utilize AI on that mobile feed. They can take up all of the screen real estate without it feeling busy. People are used to their phones being as busy as they are. And the more you can kind of be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'm scrolling. Wow, that's a cool thing. What is that? Tap on that. Oh, cool, I do have interest in that. Favorite that. Now you favorited that. Now
that's more data.
That's more data. And every time you interact with the platform, you're giving it more data. You're showing it that it's an entertainment to you, and that you're willing, and that if you buy something, that's even more. So the stronger signals that your customers are sending, the easier it's going to be to divvy out listings that actually matter to that person and hide listings that don't matter to that person, which I don't know how that's going to help or hurt some people. If you're in a really niche industry with very few customers, it actually might help you. I don't know, but most of you aren't super duper niche. Most of you fall into a few 6 categories is what most things on Etsy fall into. You fall into a major category most of the time.
Right. We have some outliers. Like there's some of you who make things that are just so unique that there's nothing comparable. But for the most part, everyone falls into a category. But I mean, it makes sense. If Debbie is shopping for bookmarks, bookshelves, and book-themed sweatshirts, then it might make sense that Debbie also would like a Kindle case, even though she's never searched for a Kindle case before. With, this technology, if Debbie is searching for these book-related items, well, maybe AI knows that most people have a Kindle or something.
Right.
And
maybe they like candles. Maybe now they like, oh, well,
pumpkin spice lattes are coming out.
She buys a lot of bed stuff around the time she buys a lot of book stuff. Maybe she would like a cozy decorative pillow for her bed. Oh, you know what? Last year she was shopping for, cozy farmstead style items. Maybe she'd like a cozy farmstead style personalized pillow for her bed where she reads her Kindle. Like, it gets better. It's a lot more involved than that. It's a lot better than I think we don't really as humans understand how AI works all the time, but that's the base form of that, which again, I made a note here just to kind of reiterate. This is why it is important to be honest in your listings about what you're selling, because these platforms are going to continue looking at these things. And it's not like they can tell if you're lying. If you sell a silver necklace and it's a silver plated necklace, the AI is not going to be buying the product, testing it, and
right.
Like it's not going to be doing all of that. But just faithfully describing your product in both the title and again iterating towards gifting. Etsy is still very heavy towards gifting, making your product into something that the AI can see and say, I know what this is. Here's what it's made of. Here's who makes it. Here's the story of this product, speaking to it. This is the kind of person that buys this kind of product. I'm going to show it to this kind of people. If it can't tell who you are, what this product is, who it's for, it's not a human. There's no emotion behind this. It's just not going to show the product to anybody. And don't overthink this. I know that sounds big and scary, but realistically, if you're writing human descriptions of your product and you're writing about your product like you love your product and not like you're a 1950s salesman, it's gonna understand what you're going for. I don't think things like grammar and stuff, I don't think any of that's gonna matter.
I mean, you should have good grammar in regard.
What I'm saying is, if you're not good at writing and you don't want to use AI, I don't think they're gonna penalize you for not having perfectly drafted. But I think the more readable it is, it may have an impact. I'm not entirely sure.
Right. you know,
I'm not
using diverse language and not just repeating the exact. This gold necklace is for anyone who likes gold necklaces, because gold necklaces are cool. Gold necklace, gold necklace, gold necklace. Instead, you know, you might want to say, you know, this beautiful gold necklace with pearl inlay is a beautiful gift for mom, or
Right.
to create a wonderful moment during the holiday season, you know?
Yes. And again, driving their app downloads remains a huge focus. They want more people on the app.
Yeah.
It was 1 second of just a comment talking about AI enabled tools for sellers.
They're coming
For sellers. They did not iterate. No one asked questions about it. It was I don't know if it was a misspeak or what, but he did say AI enabled tools coming for sellers in the future, and that was the end of that. So
I'm glad you took note of that.
Yeah, it was literally one little blurb. Nobody brought it up. Nobody acknowledged it. It was very odd. Again, it could be a misspeak on his part.
I'm gonna assume that it's something they're working on, but they just don't have a projected release for it. So
yeah, who knows? It could have been just talking out of his butt. We have no idea. But then the next thing, kind of one of the last major topics getting into, there's not really a lot to look at here. Just ways that they're utilizing the app more, but they are going to be. We talked about the Etsy Insider Beta program. So it wasn't that it didn't perform, is that it did not perform. What was the way that I said it? It didn't prove to be as economically successful as anticipated. I don't know what that means in terms of what actually happened. Was it good for the buyers? Was it just it didn't make them enough money to be worthwhile expanding? We don't know. But they're releasing their V2 version soon, in which he didn't specify exactly who, but they said that they're going to be including more buyers, specifically their top buyers. He did not iterate what he meant by that. So we don't know, but they said that there's going to be more things involved with the program in terms of customer and seller retention. So I don't know what that means. They didn't iterate. We'll see.
I just feel like, so it says updated benefits. So basically, you know, right now the benefits of Etsy Insider, for those who have access to it, which I do not, but if they push it to top buyers, I should. In theory, I buy a lot on Etsy.
We're both top 10% buyers. 100%.
Right. So you get free shipping on millions of items, which Etsy pays for that. So as a seller, you don't have to worry about anything.
Out of pocket.
They said something in the last investors report where they discussed it about getting early access to merchandise.
So like product drops, exclusive products and stuff. And let us know if you have that, or if that's, because that would be something that sellers would have to do. It wouldn't be something that Etsy couldn't just be like, oh, they've got a listing that's not active, sell it to them. Like, you know,
right. Or we're only showing it to the insiders today.
Right. Well, but that would require buyers being in the program or sellers being in the program as well. And as far as I know, they're not. So
the thing is, I feel like they're trying to create Amazon Prime, but without Prime benefits, because you can't make sellers ship faster than they do.
No, but you can pay for expedited shipping for them.
But the seller has to also be willing to
ship it on time, which could, again, get sellers into these programs where they are, I mean, it would probably require some kind of contractual obligation, like you will do this, this, and this in order to be a part of this program, which that's not unheard of. It's totally possible. That's how, like, fulfillment by Amazon works, right?
You just have to maintain your score on your customer service standard on the back end that Etsy already has in place.
This is 100% speculation.
Oh, yeah, we're hypotheticals.
This is all hypothetical. I don't know. But they could pay for expedited shipping on behalf of the customer, which could in turn work with logistical companies like UPS and FedEx to have expedited shipping for Etsy. Like, there's all kinds of things that would require multi-million-dollar investments in different things, but it's possible and they have the budget for it. So we don't know what this is going to look like going forward, but I hope it's good. They're clearly invested in it.
Aside from that, I don't see any benefit in an Etsy Insider program.
No, I don't either. If the shipping isn't there, that would be the thing.
Right.
The shipping is the thing. I don't care. Early access products, cool, but big reach there. I don't think that's enough to sell people on a monthly fee. And they talked in their earlier investment reports that would have a monthly fee, that maybe they would consider a free version down the line, but would have a monthly fee, which would be encouragement for people similar to Amazon Prime to order things on their platform because they're already financially invested in the platform, which sounds selfish. It's 100% true. That's exactly why subscription services exist that still charge you for things. YouTube Premium charges you for things. Amazon Prime gets you one Kindle book a month, but it gets you discounts, right? Like there's a reason for it. Discounted shipping prices and whatever. But if the shipping isn't there, there's no weight in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
like, what else could they offer to buyers?
And free shipping is cool, but free shipping already exists like everywhere.
Right.
It's not a huge, it's an incentive. It's not a huge incentive unless maybe you're specifically talking about like international buyers, but the majority of the platform isn't in international buyers. It's in US buyers. No matter what anybody wants to say, the combined GMS is here, right? Yeah. The majority of the GMS is here. So pushing to faster shipping and expedited shipping, that's the only thing that I could see this being a benefit for, unless they're going to throw more AI tools to better cater towards the customer. But then at that point, you're just showing that you have capabilities that you're not already leveraging for normal people. So that's just a bad look anyway.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys have ideas on if you were, thinking of yourself as a habitual Etsy buyer. Imagine that you had, maybe if you don't have a lot of money right now, just think about like if you had the budget to be a habitual buyer, what specifically would you be willing to pay for an Etsy subscription for? And, I consider myself to be a relatively habitual buyer. If I was offered Etsy Insider, I would subscribe to it as an educator in order to know more about it. But if I was not an educator in the Etsy space, I would stick with my Amazon Prime and not subscribe to an Etsy-based program, even as a habitual buyer, because I don't see. I mean,
I don't know what the price is, but I would speculate like $8 a month, $7.99, $8.99.
Cost of a latte is what
they said cost of a latte, so we're thinking it's $7.99 sounds right. Could be less, could be more, but $8 a month, 12 months. That's a lot of dosh to be throwing out if you're only shopping 4 or 5 times a year. It's not really worth it. So like the incentive needs to be spicy, and obviously, he worked at a payment processor. The goal isn't to have those people shop. It's to have those people forget that they that they subscribe to something so they keep getting the money. That's the ultimate. Any subscription plan, anytime you sign, they just hope that you forget that you're giving them money.
Other than E-Rank, where we go and unsubscribe people.
That's like Visa, MasterCard, prepaid cards. The majority of the money they make off of those cards is in money that people forget to spend or lose a card, or that's most of their profit.
Oh yeah.
So that's what they're hoping they'll do. That's not a hit on Etsy. That's just that's CEOs making CEO decisions, doing what CEOs do. We're almost through here.
This is my favorite part, and it's the one that they've finally really been pushing more. I've noticed. So two points here. First of all, the area that I'm noticing this coming through, the human connection, is when you open the Etsy app, and it's not every time, but sometimes when you open the Etsy app, it plays a little video of different Etsy sellers, like real fast. It plays like a bunch of like flash video real quick.
Love it.
Love that because it immediately puts human faces, in your face when you're going to shop, and it keeps the fact that they're humans top of mind. I'm also noticing when I'm at the gym, because Mark and I don't have regular TV, but when I'm at the gym, I am seeing more Etsy TV ads that are focused around telling a specific seller's story. And of course, I love seeing that.
Yes.
This is the type of marketing that Etsy should have done.
Human.
They should have done this for the Super Bowl. I don't know. They put it.
It's like almost like their slogan.
Keep Etsy human.
Oh, wow.
Or keep commerce human. Keep Etsy humans ours.
Wow. Keep it human.
Keep it human.
Etsy, including your frickin' ads. Anyway,
thankfully they're doing that. However, I really do not like. It says illustrated examples of work in progress of what they want their listing pages and things to look like. They've got review overviews, meet your seller.
However, this is directly from other platforms. Amazon does this exact same thing. Facebook does this with comments section. This is a commercial standard right now. So they're behind the queue for this. Everybody else has this. This is what I like about the product. This is what I like about the seller. This is what people are saying about this. I like this. It saves time. It speaks to a younger audience. I don't like it as a person. I would rather read reviews because I still don't trust AI. I use it a lot, but I'm very skeptical of AI. But this is just a part of their efforts. They said they're working on ways to better highlight the sellers through their reviews and their quality. And you can see that the terms that they're putting out here, things that are used to commonly describe it. I like stuff like this. I think again, it speaks to a younger audience, but I do think it saves people time. It keeps people are go all the freaking time. And this is one of those things that allows people to look at a listing and be like, oh, I don't see anything that I'm looking for. And if they're not already on the platform, if they're looking for stuff like this and they don't see it, then they're just going to go shop somewhere else. So I don't mind this being here. It doesn't take a lot of effort.
Yeah, I guess I do. I don't know. I wish that they would do more with the seller's story and the actual connection points that, like they're doing in their advertising. I wish that they would incorporate more of that within our shops themselves.
Yeah.
It's something that Go Imagine does really well, where when you're on a listing page, you get something similar where it's like meet your seller, but it's almost like the about section is right on the listing page, small, picture of the seller and, a little blurb from the seller. That to me is a significantly more effective strategy because you are able to immediately identify those trust signals, whereas showcasing this instead, I feel like while, 4 out of 5 is good, 4.8 out of 5, that's good. But the cynical buyers, I think, are going to be more off-put by this. I think that having, how Go Imagine does it and elevating a seller's story will give you trust elements where
Agreed.
this might
disagree.
These might present reasons to not trust, even if this was, attributed towards something that was on the buyer side.
I would need to see data. I don't know without seeing actual data, but I that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Money.
We already talked about them.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about the money. They said that the notes that I have, they said that they're confident that the marketplace is healthy and moving towards a good direction, and that the active buyer numbers are not bad. They are down year over year, but their new to reactivated numbers are high enough that they're confident in the numbers for the quarter.
Do you want to define what that means? New reactivated?
Customers that haven't shopped on the platform over a specific period of time.
Right. So people that, that might have bought something last year, but then never got back on Etsy, they're reactivating buyers.
Yeah. App GMS continue. I'm just kind of going over here. App GMS is continuing to grow. Again, optimizing your listings to be viewable on mobile, aka your picture needs to be good.
This slide here is the one that I'm most excited
They
about.
also said out loud, I don't think they put it on the slide, but that they outpaced all of their competitors in 5 of 6 categories. They've outperformed all of their competitors. So as far as growth is concerned.
So
Yes, I like this one too.
This is the one that makes me the most excited. So 5.4 million active marketplace sellers. These are fantastic numbers, primarily because for all of us who campaigned in the Keep Etsy Human movement that I hosted a couple years ago, or I guess it's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us who were really sick of listings that, were clearly just, garbage, resellers, things that weren't handmade, that has been minimized significantly. And we can see that when we look at 5.4 million sellers versus, what was it? I think like over 8 million sellers last year. That's insane. Those numbers are fantastic. So, and I know that a lot of sellers who are, genuine did get caught in the mix. Like we're not going to discount that because I know that there are a lot of
growing pains.
What Etsy does not do is they do not acknowledge those individuals during these investors report.
They never have. And if I'm completely honest, I think their efforts are in that vein are pathetic.
Yeah.
at best.
So we do not want to minimize your guys' experience and be like, oh, this is a good thing because they got rid of only bad people. Like, clearly they made some mistakes along the way,
They
but
can't acknowledge them because their investors would go
right.
haywire, but it's a bad look.
Right. But overall, we are acknowledging that it is a problem. Overall, 5.4 million sellers, down from, like I said, I believe it was closer to 8 million a year ago. That means that Etsy is doing a lot of what we've been asking them to do. We'll assume, even with a margin of error, that most of this is positive, which is helping to make sure that the sellers who are on Etsy, who are following the rules and who are selling things that are meant for Etsy, are actually making sales, because customers are finding what they came there for, which is Etsy level items, not junk that, is being resold from Temu. That is fantastic, and that's what we want to see more of. The big thing here that Etsy highlighted was that seller setup fee. They, called it the, what did they call it? Like a roadblock?
Onboarding.
Well,
their onboarding fee.
The onboarding fee, but they called it like an obstacle or a road bump or speed bump. It has done what they intended. It sucks that there's a setup fee. However, the purpose of the setup fee was to stop these bad people who aren't meant to sell on Etsy, who are just reselling junk, and it's meant to keep them from opening a bunch of stores.
And they said that it has had an active, large change in their fraud cases, specifically, that their fraud budget that they normally have for reimbursing people that
who
have
got
been
scammed
was significantly lower than year over year. So it is making a real difference in the platform. And one of the things that they talked about in the one that we watched earlier, the wrong one, Q3, was them talking about spending less time pushing down crappy sellers, people that were maybe breaking rules that weren't breaking Etsy rules, people they couldn't remove from the platform. So say copyright sellers and things like that. Spending less time pushing those people down and more time bringing good actors up.
Yeah, the good people.
That doesn't stop people who get booted off from using a VPN to switch their IP address and immediately creating a new fraud. But like we've been saying this whole friggin' time, as soon as they put a fee in place, significantly fewer bad actors are coming back onto the platform, because it costs them a fortune. They don't make a profit if they're only scamming somebody out of $20 and they got to pay $25 every time they restart their account. Anyway,
exactly,
it's doing exactly what they wanted it to, and I love that for them.
Right, and a higher percentage of current active sellers have made a sale in the last 12 months versus before the new fee. So they introduced the fee a year ago, and they're already seeing positive results from that fee for sellers who have been on the platform. So that's fantastic. And I know that a lot of you might be saying, I'm not making sales right now. I will tell you from a bird's eye view coach perspective, somebody who, sees just thousands and thousands and thousands of Etsy comments on my videos every single week, I have noticed a significant increase in the rate of sellers who have reported that they are doing very well this season.
Significantly.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Some of the people who, were not seeing any traffic at all a while ago are finally seeing traffic come back. Sellers who have seen decent traffic, over the last few years are now seeing amazing traffic. So it's clearly working. And I'm not saying that this, again, not minimizing the experiences of those who might not be seeing the full benefit of this, but the overall majority are seeing positive benefits from this speed bump. And I think that it's fantastic that, Etsy was able to find such a simple solution.
Look, man, I don't have a problem with it. If you don't have $25 to start a business, you don't have money to run a business. I mean, it sounds very privileged to say, but running a business costs money. And if you think the $25 is a lot, wait until you expand. Wait until you have to add additional products.
Or
wait until you have to
lost in the mail.
Right, and you have to reimburse somebody a $50 product, and you don't have you have to have money to run a business. And you don't have to have a lot of money to start a business, but you have to have money to upkeep a business. You got to be able to pay your taxes. You've got to be able to pay potential employees in the future, and you have to worry about scalability, and there's a lot that goes into doing this.
Or even just small tools that you need for function,
And if this is enough for them to significantly drop the amount of people on their platform, decrease the amount of fraudulent sales that are happening, decrease the amount of fraudulent sellers. I mean, downright murder AI platforms from being able to come onto their platform and wreak havoc. And also increase the number of, that's one of the big notes that I had made, increasing the number of new sellers who made a sale within the first year. And,
That's amazing.
Not everybody who signs up for a race is ever going to win, but a lot of people do. And a lot of people make money and a lot of people sell a product. And it doesn't mean your product's bad. Your presentation might be bad. Your descriptions might be bad. Your pictures, might be bad.
Might just be a highly saturated industry that you don't have a chance in.
Right. You might think that you have a really good idea for a product and you're just in an industry that's hyper saturated, or there's no public interest in. Maybe it's an old interest that you're still interested in. There's a lot of reasons why people don't make sales, but consistency is the key in any industry. And they did make a note. Lewd.
Don't.
That is lewd.
Not the board hole when.
Not when we're on stream. Pick something else. Clean your belly.
Would you here? I'll turn you.
Lewd boy.
Let me there. You may continue.
You made me lose my thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's gone.
They're increasing the number of new sellers joining the platform who are seeing success.
Nothing to do with that.
Adding the onboarding fee into the process.
Yep, it's gone.
It's helped overall.
Yep, it has.
I think that they get the point.
It was a separate point. But
It is 8 p.m. Like I'm
exhausted.
We're normally settling in by now.
I think you guys have gotten the point. I think they are. I'm not even screen sharing right now. They are hopeful in how the platform is moving. I'll tell you what. Watching 2 of these investors report in a day was a moral drag. However, while they didn't have as many forward-looking things to talk about, they also had
before the holidays.
It is. Well, I think it's more that their efforts are very condensed. They are very hyper-focused on a very small, very few, very high budget, very important things.
Okay, maybe that's for the best.
Getting more people on the app, optimizing the app experience, retaining people on the app, making listings more comfortable to view on the app and making them easier to find. And then finally, a big AI spider web to tie that all together and produce a product that can get your things out to more people in the most optimized, beneficial way possible, and while reducing the trajectory for bad actors. And I think they have done a really good job. But what I was trying to say was they might not have had as many positive points to push. However, they had significantly fewer negative points to push. This was a relatively quick. Most of the stuff that, especially towards the end when they were doing the Q&A, wasn't just like, oh, what are you doing to deflect this? What are you doing for this and that? It was more like, oh, here's this initiative you were talking about. How are you funding that? And what are your projections for that? And that was like everybody's questions. They weren't just like, hey, you're losing money. What are you doing? It wasn't like that. That was this time. It was like, hey, here's this program and this project and this thing. What are you doing with that? How are you funding that? Who's in charge of that? It was very forward leaning instead of regressive. And I think that that's a positive change.
Right. And Josh wasn't on the defensive the whole time. Whereas in past investor calls, he seems to always be on the defense.
Look, man, they have made the prior CEO be damned.
I don't even know who it was. I can't remember.
COVID happening and the reduction in numbers. And I think you're starting to hear more in business too, post-COVID numbers. They even said that they're finally starting to say that. More people in more sectors are starting to say that because
there's distance now. There's data.
They've needed to put a term on it because this hasn't, obviously we've had pandemics before and they've had effects on the economy, but there's never been a global pandemic to the effect on a sector like this because it's never happened before.
It's like BC AD
COVID. No, it's more recent than that. We've had the Spanish flu and everything like that in between. But the internet didn't exist in those platforms. Shopping to this degree with this many people has never happened.
Right.
And the amount of money, it was silly. And we've said this from the get-go to not appease to your investors, and they have been buying back their stocks.
They have been.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. They spent, what was it, like $385 million of their own stuff they bought back? I can't remember. It was a ridiculous quantity of money, but that's good. That means that not only are they getting themselves back, they're more in control of the decisions that they're making. They're able to cater their content to what they want and not just the investors. And even if that loses them money up front, that's the most intelligent thing that they could do as a platform, because they have made some stupid decisions over the last few years. In the last couple of years, actually, I'll give Josh some credit. The last like 2 years, he's been really pounding it.
He has.
But prior to that, they were doing some really stupid crap that was just very clearly to appease the shareholders. All the different programs that they've been doing have just been garbage. Leading up to what they're doing now, AI, I think, being a big thing for them. I think they were waiting for a big win. And clearly, obviously, Apple featured Etsy. That's a big deal.
Oh, no kidding.
It's big. And I hope that they can become a forefront. They talked a lot about Depop. They're very clearly focusing a lot of their efforts in Depop to make up money that they're not making on Etsy.
Well, it's a good time for it, because this younger generation, they're collecting like vintage denim, vintage t-shirts.
And let's be real, everybody's poor. Everybody's poor right now.
And that's exactly what I said, where they were talking about Depop, has seen a good trajectory, where Etsy, hasn't. Etsy is the place you go to splurge, whereas Depop, you're being thrifty.
Yes.
So
they
sense.
Work hand in hand as a platform.
Yeah.
I don't have, normally there's like big takeaways here. The only real big takeaway is to make sure that your listings look good.
And I mean, we've got so much content on that.
I know that sounds like an artificial like catch answer, but that's the truth of it. Make sure that your listings look good. Make sure that your pictures, it's not just a jump. Like if you do a curated picture where you have, your product in the middle and a bunch of stuff all around it, make sure that you're creatively focusing on the product and you can understand what it is. If you pull it up on your phone in your Etsy listing, you look at it from a different, I don't know, you can't really, I guess, get it in your feed, but do your best to imagine what it would look like in your feed on Etsy and say, would I be able to see that? Put it on your computer screen, make it this big. Do I understand what that looks like? There are ways. I wish there was a better way for you to do that. Yeah, use your phone. Drop that image down to a smaller size. Look and see, like, can you tell what you're looking at? Is an AI going to tell what it's looking at in the big picture image of it? Is the description a description, or is it just a bunch of garbled text that you've just slapped in there because I've got 100 listings, I don't have the time to make them? Now is the time to optimize your titles, to optimize your descriptions, to make sure all of your shop sections are filled out, to make sure that you're putting, if you're doing jewelry or handmade products, make sure you're putting the materials in the materials. Be honest with those things, because people they've shown, actively looking for these things. One of their biggest industries, what did they call it? Demi-fine jewelry.
Yes.
It was a 7% uptick year over year, something like that. I could be wrong with the number. But in utilizing their AI, just in that industry, saw a huge uptick in sales just because they were focusing on details like the metals they were made with, the size, the attributes. Make sure your attributes are where they should be,
and not filling out. I mean, this has been best practice forever, but now more than ever, not filling out attributes that are not relevant. You can leave some blank, making sure that you aren't putting in every single attribute just for the sake of it.
Yes, don't attribute spam. AI is going to latch onto that and just dump that listing in the dumpster.
Right. But anyway, I think this was a decent investors call in terms of there was not really any bad news. It wasn't like there was any major breakthrough news, but what I think, personally, just based on this and what we've seen over the holidays of the last few years, moving into Q3, moving into Q4, I think that people are going to be significantly more willing to shop this year. And we're seeing that in our data. When it comes to the conversion data that we now have over at eRank. If you haven't yet seen it, I made a video 3 weeks ago about it that says, look for this badge. Go watch that video. But what we're noticing is that customer shopping trends have shifted this season, where last year it took shoppers a while to start getting into Halloween products and Christmas purchases. Whereas this year, we're starting to see that way more people are searching for Halloween-related items in June than they did last June. Now, obviously, by the time this airs, you guys will be able to go into eRank because we'll have our July data go in there. I highly recommend you go through, start looking at some holiday terms and see if anything else is converting. Christmas in June is converting. That means that Christmas-related searches are leading to money. People are putting things in their cart.
They have said for more than one quarter now that the rate of purchases for holidays is incrementally better.
Yes.
It is every year they are seeing huge portions of their GMS in holidays.
Mother's
Christmas,
Day, Father's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day, Father's Day. Easter was a big one for them this quarter.
Yeah.
Because it was obviously the dates were all moved around. But holiday and gifting, not everything is a giftable item. We get it. If you're not a giftable item, don't focus too hard into that. Also, don't overthink things. You might be giftable even though you think you're not. But anyway, if you can optimize for the holidays, optimize for the holidays. I'm not saying go change all your titles to say Christmas. You do a Christmas picture. Throw some holiday stuff in, do holiday sales, make your shop giftable. It doesn't always have to be about the product. It can be about your offsite advertisements, which is another thing that they talked about. I keep remembering more points that they talked about. But offsite advertising is really important. Growing yourself off of the platform is important. And they had a small, I forget what it specifically they said. I wish I would have made a point about it, but making sure that you're driving some of your own traffic is also important.
Oh, you mean that it doesn't hurt us to share our Etsy links on social media like all those influencers keep saying?
No, that's stupid.
It's so dumb.
That's stupid.
I don't understand what...
Not to mention the fact that Etsy can see if somebody clicks on your listing on Etsy, that to them looks different than somebody clicking on your listing on a social media platform.
Yeah.
They can see where the traffic is coming from. And I highly doubt they're going to penalize if they're even looking at clicks.
They are.
If they are putting them into consideration for whether they show your product to people, a lot of clicks I'm sure makes a difference, but a lot of social media clicks probably won't penalize you as much as somebody who's on the platform who clicks and then clicks off.
Yeah, because there's no bounce rate. It's not the same as a bounce rate from a query. Where
no, it's not.
A query related bounce rate is when somebody is searching for a product, like
clicks on it, clicks off, never comes back.
Right. If they're looking for a gold ring and they click your listing and find out that your ring isn't actually gold, it's just gold color, and they click off of it.
Remember when these people say like, don't share your stuff on social media because people are going to click on your stuff. Remember, the people that are designing these algorithms to figure this stuff out, for one, a lot of it's AI now, but for two, they are quite literally the most if you've ever met like a neurodivergent math person who is like terrible at everything, but they can like tell you the square root of pi down to like the 50,000th digit. Those are the people that are coming up with these algorithms. They're not idiots. No, they know what they're doing, and they're not going to miss a consideration like that. So don't focus too much on that. That's so stupid. God, that's so stupid.
I'm sure that a lot of people in the chat will also connect with like precision autism, where you've got someone who has just this very specific,
hyper focus.
Right, a very specific flavor of autism where this one thing is their entire existence. Right. And those are the people who build these insanely complex algorithms.
We're not saying that autism has anything to do with the algorithm, but we're just talking that level of focus. The person that is a genius in their industry. Algorithm specialists are geniuses in their industry, and they can't be anything else. So
you cannot tell me that these geniuses, that some of them
for sure.
They absolutely do. I see autism as a superpower for me.
100%.
Like when you're able to just hyper focus on this thing and create it perfectly.
My neurodivergency superpower is working well under stress and never at any other time.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm good. If I'm like, oh my God, I got to get this project done, I will get it done and better than anybody you've ever seen. But if it's 3 weeks from now, I'm not going to focus on it until I'm stressed about it.
I'm the same way, though. That's why we're recording.
I know a lot of you guys are like, oh man, I'm supposed to have a product launch. I have taken 0 pictures. I have to take 500 pictures and edit them by tomorrow. And you get it done every time because you just have that specific flavor. Anyway, we love you guys.
Thanks.
I'm ready to go to bed or something. I'm so tired.
I gotta do laundry to pack.
Oh my goodness. we will see you guys on Tuesday for another video, and then we'll be here next Friday.
Yes, Tuesday's video is going to. I'm going to be so tired when I edit that on Monday. Tuesday's video is going to cover official licensing. I did a video on this a while back. That video has been just buried. It's so I'm refreshing it. There's not going to be a whole lot of new insights included in it if you've already seen the original. I feel like it just needed a refresh because people ask me about it so often, and I've gotten better at YouTubing since I made it. So it was a good topic to bring back. I like to do that occasionally with topics that are so old on my channel that people might assume that they're not relevant anymore, or they're just buried algorithmically. So that's what we're going to be covering. Official licensing is something that's only going to appeal or work for a very specific group of individuals, because it is relatively difficult to obtain for major IP. However, for books, indie games, and I did have someone tell me that they were able to obtain licensing for universities. It took a bit of work, but she was able to do so. So
they have PR departments.
Yeah, so maybe some sports related things. There are ways to do it, and I think that I would love to hear your stories if you've been able to obtain licensing for other IP.
Yeah, tell us your story. I'd love to hear it.
Exactly.
Honestly, I would love to hear it. I like to hear the weird outlier that was like, yeah, I got this thing and it worked really well.
Well, not to mention, because when I hear about that, then I know that it's not just possible for books, or I know it's not just possible for indie games. Now I know it's possible for universities. So when that video posts on Tuesday, please let me know in the comments on that specific video if it's something you've been able to do. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you so much. We are so ready to go hide in the woods. It's like not vacation on the beach. We hide in the woods. That's all.
Wine and books and swimming.
That's it. We just take books and we hide in the woods it's a cabin with a pool. So that's it. That's all we're doing.
That's all we're doing.
That's all we ever do. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.